Hey, what's up guys, it's Kelly, and today, as you can see from the title of this video, I'm reviewing 50 Shades Freed. I did reviews of the first two films in the series, so I just thought I had to wrap up the trilogy and share my thoughts on this one as well. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you've read the books, you'll be fine, but if you haven't read the books and you haven't watched the film and you are planning to, then maybe don't watch this because there are some pretty severe spoilers that I'm going to be talking about. Generally, I liked the film. I thought it was the best of the three. I found it enjoyable. It had the most in terms of storyline. I found it was that way in the books as well. Like, this is where everything really comes to a head and there is actually a storyline involved, unlike the first two. So I did enjoy it. I did think it was the best, both regarding storyline but also just the way that it was made. Obviously, as the films have gone on, the budgets have got bigger, and you can see that, like, production wise, this film was just filmed the best. Starting right from the beginning with the honeymoon montage, and the wedding scene was just all filmed beautifully. There was some really lovely cinematography in the film. It's not difficult to work with a location like Paris, which is where the first sort of 10 minutes of the film take place. It's easy to make Paris look good. It's easy to make scenes with the Eiffel Tower in the background look romantic, but they did a really good job with that montage. It flowed really nicely, and I thought the editing was really lovely, beautifully shot, really nice background music. I just thought that that all worked really well. So for most of the film, I was like, hey, production's improved, cinematography's improved, editing's improved, direction's improved. However, right at the end, they did another montage. Christian's playing the piano and Anna's kind of looking at him and being like, this is the guy I'm spending the rest of my life with. And it's a nice moment, but they interspersed it with all of these scenes from the beginning of their relationship and like how far they've come. And I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to be like, look at how far they've come, look at how much they've grown. I get that, and it came across, that idea came across nicely, but the montage itself just ended up being really cheesy to me, and it fell a little bit flat, and the editing in the montage itself I felt was a little bit choppy and like it didn't flow nicely, and montages are really difficult to do and should not be handled by people who are not really good at doing them. I think you guys should know by now, my reviews are kind of all over the place, so just as I think about stuff that I wanted to say, I'm gonna blab it out here. I don't do reviews in like a linear, logical way. It's just kind of thought vomit. So that montage kind of felt a little bit flat for me because it was just a bit too cheesy for me, to be honest, and I just didn't think it was well executed. But the other reason that I had an issue with it is because they've done it before. If you watched my review of the first film, I was reviewing the uncut version, and in the theatrical version, I think, after he like is finished beating her and she leaves him, they have this intense moment with the elevator, and you know, he goes Anna and she goes Christian and the doors close, and it's very symbolic because that's how their relationship started and now that's how their relationship ends, and that would have been a great closing scene for the film. But then after that, in the uncut version, they put in a montage of their relationship and how it started and how it's grown and blah blah blah, and that for me fell flat in the first film. And then they decided to bring it back in the last film, and I was not a fan. I felt like it was not good. It was nice how they ended that with her choosing to go into the Red Room and like accepting this as part of their life and wanting it instead of just doing it for him, because that's what the story is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be a young woman coming to terms with her sexuality and figuring out who she is in general, but also in that specific sphere, not feeling shame for the things that she discovers she likes sexually, which in theory is great, but in practice doesn't always come across in the books. Another thing that I thought was done really well was wardrobe. I was obsessed with the wardrobe in this film. Anna's wardrobe, from her wedding dress to the corset she wears at the end, I just loved everything. I must admit, when I first saw the cover of the film tie-in of the book, which has her in her wedding dress, I wasn't a fan. I didn't really like it because you just see from like the bust up, and I was like, I'm not really sure. But seeing the whole thing, like the back and the train and just the way it falls and drapes and everything, I fell in love with that dress. And then her honeymoon wardrobe, all of those like beautiful poofy dresses, you know, she's running around Paris in all of these beautiful poofy dresses and like amazing shoes. The shoes, guys. Her wardrobe was phenomenal. Christian's wardrobe was also great. I mean, he always looks amazing. He generally wears really well tailored suits, which, you know, it's no secret that tailored suits to girls are like lingerie for guys. Every girl loves a guy in a good suit. But even when he was more casual, he just wore really nice clothing, like nice golf shirts, nice jumpers, nice casual shirts. Wardrobe I just thought was really good throughout. Loved everything that Anna wore. And it made me want to dress like pretty again. You know, I've been going through a very cozy phase lately, but like I want to wear nice flirty dresses and high heels and all of that. So hopefully it'll inspire me enough to actually get my shit together regarding my wardrobe. I think people are going to be upset by the lack of sex scenes in this film, because I think that that's the reason a lot of people were disappointed in the first two, that like they weren't sexy enough and they weren't obscene enough. Obscene's not the word I'm looking for. They weren't graphic enough, I guess. And this one really doesn't have a lot of sex in it. Like, it has more instances of sex. Like, if you were to count how many times they have sex in the film, it's probably more than in the other films. But the sex scenes are a lot shorter and a lot less graphic. They were filmed a lot more suggestively, so there's not as much actual nudity, which I'm sure is also coming from the actors. Like, they're kind of sick of seeing the entire world see them naked, which I get. So I think people are going to be disappointed by the lack of sex. Personally, I thought they struck a good balance between sexy stuff and actual storyline, because there is a lot of storyline in this one, a lot more than in the others, as I said, and they actually cut out a few important scenes. Like in the book there's a scene where Layla comes to visit Anna in her office, and there are also scenes that in the books are drawn out a lot longer that they really condensed in the film. But they also didn't add anything unnecessary, I didn't feel. Like, there's the scene in the Red Room, which is quite an important one in their relationship, where Christian is kind of like teasing Anna with a vibrator because he's upset with her. That scene in the book, it's an intense scene and a big moment in their relationship, and it was wrapped up really quickly in the film. She was super upset with him, and then suddenly everything was fine and dandy. And also the scene at the bank at the end. Okay, to be honest, in the book I did find the bank scene a little bit drawn out. I was like, I just want them to like get back together, and I want them to be happy and like safe and know that everything's fine. So I found the scene in the book a little bit drawn out, but I found the scene in the movie a little bit rushed. There was no balance for me. You know, in the book he genuinely believes that she is leaving him because they had a fight and she is now trying to draw $5 million, and he seems to genuinely believe that she's running away, and he is so upset, and it's a really emotional moment. And I remember being like, my poor baby, like, he must be so devastated and sad and heartbroken. And in the film, like, he's just worried because he's just like, okay, something's happened to her, I need to go save her. Like, no, where are the insecurities? Where are the moments of him being like, she is leaving me, she doesn't love me anymore, I am a worthless human being who has pushed her away, like I pushed away everyone in my life. Like, that's an important part of his character that they just glossed over. The stuff with Jack I thought was balanced well, because although there is, as I said, more action in this movie, it is at its core still just a romance. So, you know, we want the action, we want the excitement, but people are actually there to see romance and relationship and all that mushy stuff. So I felt that they balanced that well with all the Jack stuff. Like, there was a good amount of drama and a good amount of action, but it was split up with some good scenes of like just like love and happy, and we're a little bit stressed that someone's stalking us, but it's okay because we love each other, and I'm gonna go cut my boyfriend's hair now. There was one scene where after Jack's been arrested for breaking into Anna's house, the police investigator comes to visit her at work and says like he's applying for bail and saying that you came on to him, and when he rejected you, you made up a story about sexual assault. And she asks him if he believes Jack, and he says, on the record, what I think doesn't matter at all. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, please, sexual assault in the workplace is such a problem, and like they're gonna show on screen this police inspector not believing her, like this is such a big issue in the world, like don't do this. And then he carried on to say, off the record, I think he's a lying piece of scum, he'll do anything to make bail. This is fine. The one thing with Jack though that I wasn't sure about, I can't remember from the book, is Jack Christian's half-brother? Or were they both just in the foster system? Because in the film they say nothing about him being Christian's brother. They just say that they were in the same foster house. I remember in the book them being brothers, so please, someone who has read the book more recently than me, please like let me know if I'm imagining things or if they're actually brothers. I kind of understand them not putting that in the film because it might have taken a bit more time to explain, but it also is kind of important if that is the case. Like, that makes a big difference to Jack's motives. It's not just a case of, oh, you know, someone chose another boy over me. It's like, we're basically the same person and someone chose him over me. It was scored really well. That's probably been my favourite thing about all three of the movies, is how well they've been scored. The first film soundtrack was amazing. It's one of my favourite movie soundtracks ever. The second film, equally so. This one as well was scored really well. They seem to like using the same artists a lot of the time, and music is such an important part of setting the mood for a film, so the fact that they have the same sounds coming throughout the three films, it really ties them together really well, because music's such a good way of taking you back to a certain place or a certain time. Putting certain artists at certain points in the film really takes you back to points in the other films, and that was done really well. But I mean, then again, Danny Elfman is on board with the music team, so of course the music is going to be amazing. Also, can we get a scene of Christian singing? Jamie Dornan doesn't have the best voice, but he has a really lovely, like, normal voice. He is in a band, I think, or was in a band. He has done music. He is a musician, is what I'm trying to say. He's never going to be on Broadway, but he has a really nice voice for a person sitting at their piano, like, playing and singing. So that was a really nice scene, and I because, yes, another talent. You guys should know by now, I'm in love with Jamie Dornan, and I started watching The Fall, and that just made me love him even more. Like, he is way more talented than this film deserved, and he is talented in a way that this film did not show off. I thought he did the best that he could with not a very well fleshed out character and terrible dialogue. I'm gonna wrap things up there because I've been talking for a really long time and this is going to be a very long video. I am seriously considering doing another video where I talk about my thoughts in general on the franchise, the good and the bad, because since watching this one and having it all wrapped up for me, I have been feeling a lot of feelings and having a lot of thoughts about things that need to be said. Let me know if you guys would be interested in seeing that. A lot of those thoughts and feelings are specifically related to 50 Shades Freed, but if I included them all in this video it would have been like half an hour long, so I think it might be better to split it into two videos because there are also elements from the first and second part of the saga that I want to talk about. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. I'm kind of keen, and then I'll start writing my thoughts down, and so I can think. It's more difficult when you do a movie because I'm trying to get into the habit of writing notes while I read books that I know I want to review, which is why my darker review was quite easy to do. It followed a somewhat more logical pattern. But with films, like, I went to watch this in the cinema, I couldn't sit and write notes while I was watching. So it's a lot more difficult with films because then when I got home, I was like thinking all these things and I knew I should have got them out on paper, but I didn't feel like it because I was like, oh, I'm filming it tomorrow. But I obviously still forgot things, and I will always forget things. That's just the way I am. It's been a whole 2 seconds since I wrapped up the video, and I already have something else that I want to say. On the note of music, I thought it was really strange that I hadn't seen like a big single or hadn't heard a big single coming out of the film, because there's always one. You know, the first one was Love Me Like You Do, the second one was the Zayn and Taylor Swift song, and I was like, it's really weird that there hasn't been sort of a big single that's been publicised and been played on the radio a lot and that I've seen all over YouTube, and that seems to be because they reused Love Me Like You Do over that montage at the end that I was talking about earlier, which was nice. As much as I have my issues with the montage, it was nice that they used that song because that song is so synonymous with the franchise and so associated with their relationship and such an important part of their relationship. Like, that helicopter ride was really when she started to fall in love with him, and like you got to see a tender side of him and a really sweet side, and him really trying to start and be in an actual relationship and be normal. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments what you thought about 50 Shades of Grey if you have seen it, 50 Shades Freed if you've seen it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye!